thought I'd take the opportunity to do a town riding demonstration ride. It's not very often that I ride in town through choice, but I hope it's of help to some people who obviously can't avoid town riding. So, things to look out for in towns. Bus lanes on the left. This one happens to be a ULEV bus lane, so electric vehicles can use it, hence the Renault Zoe. It's worth keeping an eye on those bus lanes just to check for anybody speeding up them and potentially coming out in front of you at the very end of the bus lane. So regular mirrors are useful. This learner's braking quite harshly for the change of speed limit ahead. When you are next to a bus lane, start looking for the end of the bus lane. So you can see there's a gap in it here, but I can see there's more bus lane ahead. However, it's about to end. So when the bus lane ends, move into lane 1. The highway code says you should be riding in the left of the available lanes for the direction that you're travelling in. I'm only hanging back a little bit here just in case the learner hasn't moved in and wants to move in. Wait for their indicator to come on. There we go. I'm good to go. Early mirrors for a change of speed limit, in case we've got somebody impatient behind us. Do be nice and positive getting up to the speed limit in town if it's safe to do so. If you've got traffic behind, it's safer to get away from the traffic than it is to be dawdling your way up to the speed limit and ending up with somebody tailgating you. So keeping a good eye on those mirrors. Checking my mirrors before I slow down. Trying not to get too close to the car in front. And we'll be turning left at the traffic lights. So early mirrors, signal. I come into position 1. Start bringing my speed down. Down a couple of gears. Holding it tight on the bite point as we're coming round, and then easing the clutch through and back on the throttle. I'm in 4th gear at 30 miles an hour. That's comfortable on this bike when you need a little bit of acceleration and deceleration. Planning for the bend, looking all the way around the bend, keeping an eye on Mr. Deliveroo or delivery rider. Checking my mirrors. I don't want to get too close to this bus. Not because he's a learner, but because I want to be able to see around the bus. And the last place you want to get stuck is behind a bus when they've stopped all of a sudden. So if you get too close and you get stuck behind the bus, you can then be seen to be holding the traffic back, which can fail you your test. And it's a pain in the backside when you get too close and you do get stuck because you just get embarrassed by all the other vehicles coming out behind you. So looking around the bend in front of the bus, I'm still watching for his indicator coming on potentially, left or right, because there was a bus stop up there. The car at the junction on the right. I'm going to keep my distance away from the parked cars on the left, but I'm not going to go over the white line in case that car moves out on me. So you keep your speed down, because we were too close to the parked vehicles to be totally safe to go 30. Checking my mirrors. A little shoulder check. And again, keeping my speed down. I can come out now because there's no junctions on the right. And again, I don't want to get too close to the back of the bus. Also need to allow for the pedestrian crossing. Check there's no cyclist on my left because I have to turn left here. Let's watch the wheels of this car. Is he going? Nice gap after him. Shoulder check, because I haven't been checking my mirrors enough to know that there's nobody in my blind spot as I want to move off. I'm also stopping far enough back from the car in front that I could ride out of this position if I needed to. Still worth those shoulder checks because I'm quite close to a pedestrian crossing. Sometimes pedestrians try and zoom across or out in front of you at the last minute before you move off. Yellow box. Let's wait until I can see bare tarmac the other side. There we go. I'm good to go. Don't feel under pressure to go onto those yellow boxes until you're 100% certain that there is bare tarmac the other side of the box. Even if it means you actually stop and wait. It's better to do that than to get stuck on that yellow box. Checking my mirrors because we're slowing down. I'm in second gear, using my clutch there, rather than coming down into first gear. I was just using the clutch to taper the speed a little bit. I think this might be somebody's first time driving the bus on the open road. Lovely, trying to stay away from the back end of the bus because when he turns it's likely to swing out a little bit. So let's pick it up to the speed limit. We go for 32, 32. Just try and keep the cars off our backside, bearing in mind that speedos are invariably not 100% accurate. Maybe turning right at the lights, so mirrors and signal, a little bit of brakes, appropriate gear, looking for an opportunity. I can see one. I'm going to watch for the chap crossing the road, so always look up the road you're turning into rather than just going. Mirrors, a nice acceleration. It's a lovely dry day. Watching Mr. Man make sure he's turning left the way his wheels are turned. Checking my mirrors, looking for these pedestrians to do something unusual, whilst also looking all the way up the rest of the road. Early mirrors, going to be turning left at the lights. Am I going to be turning left at the lights? I am going to be turning left behind this bus. We don't have to indicate in this lane, it's a left turn only lane. You can choose to indicate if you want to. Revs, clutch, hold it on the bike point till I've got the line that I want. Ease the clutch, change gear. Looking ahead, we've got cars coming out towards us. I'm going to stay in to the left until the last minute. Keep my speed down because I'm too close to the cars on the left. Opening up now so I can pick my speed up. Red light ahead, so early mirrors. Easing off the throttle. Still looking up the left of the bus at the moment to see the traffic lights and any other hazards that I can get an early view of. I'll bring my speed down because he's quite slow at turning this bus. Watch for the car turning right without looking for me. Nice and positive so I don't hold them back. Mirrors looking up the road. Planning for the parked car ahead, watching the blue car on the right. Thinking about the lorry coming towards me. I want to try and get back in before he reaches me. Hey, dogs on the left. Going to bring my speed down just in case they pull their owner out towards the bike. Looks like they've got a bit of a standoff. Bless. Looking all the way around the bend. Just avoiding some bad surface before I move away from the pedestrian back to position 2. Mirrors. Left at the mini-roundabout, so it's brakes, gears, second gear, we look good to go. Look up the road, check it's safe. Back on the power with mirrors. We get a lot of learner riders slow to get back on their power once they've completed the junction. So one of the things they don't do is look up the road they're turning into. They look down at the floor. So you want to pick your eyes up and look up the road you're turning into so you can assess for any hazards or road surface problems. But also, once you've decided it's safe, check your mirrors whilst you're accelerating and get up there, get up to the speed limit. It's safer to get away from the traffic behind than it is to have them catching up with you and tailgating you. Nice regular mirrors. Mirrors again because the van's slowing down, indicators on and oncoming traffic. I'm going to keep my speed down. Don't want to get too close. Mirrors. And I'm nicely away from the traffic behind. Trying to look all the way up the road, watch the wheels of this car covering my horn. Thumb back away again, mirrors. Orange car seems to be drifting a little bit, maybe they're on the phone. Mirrors again, whoops, a daisy, I'm speeding. Nice regular mirror checks. It's quite a windy day today. Can feel it buffeting side to side a little bit, especially when you get gaps in the hedgerows and the houses. Roundabout coming up. They don't seem to have done the signs for this roundabout yet from this direction, which is a little bit weird. Not particularly helpful for the learners, but we're going to be turning left, taking the first exit. So mirrors, signal. I'm going to move over to the left a little. Made my decision, now look up the road. Back on the power, indicator off and mirrors. Right at the lights, so that's mirrors, signal. A lovely big hill to come up. I'm still in fourth. I'm going to start easing off, using the hill to slow me down. A little bit of brakes, clutch in, down through the gears, catching the clutch. A nice smooth stop on the rear brake. So when I say catching the clutch, I'm just catching it at the moment that it's about to lose power from when the clutch was in, which is quite windy. Revs, bite point, brake off, balance, look up the road. It's an unfortunate place to be broken down. Early mirrors, need to use quite a lot of brakes on the downhill, using the gears as well, so fourth gear on this bike will do it. I'm off the throttle and it's holding steady at 29. Going to be taking the first exit. Remembering the change of speed limit, quite a lot of our students here would go straight back to up to 40, which is what the van behind wants to do. Well, unfortunately, Mr. Van, it's 30. So the speed limit changes are quite often on a junction, before a junction, so the speed limit changes before the roundabouts. But quite regularly the speed limit markers are on the junction, so at traffic lights, for example, just before the traffic lights you'll see the speed limit changing. Which can be quite tricky for learners because you're so busy thinking about mirrors, signal, lifesaver position, brakes, gears, making sure you come down into first gear, all of those things, being smooth when you're stopping. Sometimes you forget to look around the junctions. And again, as you notice with this one, the change of speed limit comes just after the roundabout, when you're likely to be thinking about merging lanes and lifesavers, You need to be lifting your eyes up at the same time, trying to look around for those road signs. Mirrors, go! Let's get away from Mr. Van, who thought he was going to go for an overtake on the roundabout and then realised he couldn't. Another common fault is that people don't open the throttle against a hill to hold their speed steady, so quite regularly we get riders slowing down in front of us because they just hold the throttle steady when they're going up a hill. If you do that, you're going to lose speed, so as you come up the hill you need to gently open your throttle a little bit so your speed stays the same. So I'm just increasing it a little bit up here now. You can see it's dropped to 41, back to 2. And again, checking my mirrors, just watching for people with dogs because these bikes are quite loud. Sometimes the dogs lunge out towards the bike. Again, plan ahead for the hill. See, there's a hill coming up, so we're likely to have to open the throttle a little bit to keep the speed up if it's safe to do so. Quite gusty on this stretch today. Being blown left and right a little bit. Opening the throttle, hills getting steeper, holding the speed steady. Checking my mirrors. Coming down the hill, I'm going to ease off a little bit, otherwise I'm going to start to speed. Still easing off just a touch, because I can feel the bike's gaining momentum. And when the lane opens up into more than one lane, we should be choosing the left of the available lanes if the road is clear. If there was lots of traffic in this lane, I would, however, have gone for lane 2 for the direction that I'm travelling in. Mirrors and power. Mirrors and brakes. Clutch in, down through my gears, down to the rear brakes. I can do a really smooth, controlled stop. Keeping a really regular eye on the mirrors. It's not very busy today. Sometimes this road is quite busy. There's a series of traffic lights ahead that are both 2 lanes that merge, then it's 2 lanes and then merge. So when you're coming up to traffic lights like this, try and notice the 2 lanes and then the 1 lane ahead. Early mirrors, both brakes mostly front. Take that speed right down, down through the gears, back on the power. Try and notice the road ahead, where you've got 2 lanes coming down into 1 lane. If it's busy with lots of vehicles, you're likely to need to do a lifesaver for merging. Also to bring yourself back into position 2. See a lot of people doing a lifesaver, but they don't actually merge. On that occasion I didn't need to do a lifesaver because I'm aware of the white car and the black car. There's only 2 other cars around me. But if there's lots of traffic and you're merging in, it's a lifesaver. And then when you merge, change position. Don't just sit there on the far left or the far right position, because you'll get vehicles pushing in past you. Staying nicely back from the car in front, just on my rear brake now, coming down into first gear, just the rear brake to finish. Okay, so for a roundabout going straight ahead, we're going to stay in the left lane. It's 2 lanes on the approach, so even though it's not lane marked on the roundabout, we're going to keep left. We're taking the second exit. We're not going to signal on the approach. We are going to signal at the little triangle that separates the exits, and then do a right lifesaver to exit. For a right turn roundabout, it's mirrors on the approach, keeping it tight to the right. Try and keep it tight to the roundabout as you enter. Quite a lot of people would cut out to the left now, whereas I'd rather keep it in tight to the roundabout, about a metre away from the island. Keeping the speed down. Left signal, left check. Small gap, less speed. Good distance away from the parked cars. Minding the junction, nobody's coming, so I can stay in this position. Turning left at the roundabout, mirrors, signal, lifesaver in position, brakes, gear, decision made, look up the road, indicator off, mirrors and power. So straight ahead at the roundabout. Straight ahead at the roundabout, keeping to the left. Indicator, the right lifesaver because we're on the left. If you're on your test, you would be selecting the straight ahead arrows unless the examiner gave you a direction, so just keep following those straight ahead arrows. Go around the hump, there's no oncoming traffic, trying to choose a smooth line while staying away from the parked vehicles.